Hello. Hello, people. Wait, wrong thing. There we go. I can see chat now. Ugh. Only one day left. Double drop. Guess I'll just get this then. Or actually, no, Broad Blade, because that's what Jingron uses. Nice, SJ. HSR dry again? I'm gonna be honest. I feel like I don't know. Like, is that not just a gotcha thing? Like, I'm gonna be completely honest. I also thought that HSR was dry and it's like an HSR issue. But, like, I've been just as bored playing WoWA. Once you finish a patch's events and story, there's nothing to do in these gotchas. It's not even just an HSR thing. Yeah. Do we know if Pearl is split scaling? All they did was mention is her changing paths. Yeah, that's kinda what split scaling is, my friend. In Fua teams, because she's an elation character like Avon, her elation attacks won't be able to benefit from damage bonus from M-Blade buffs if you were to use her in Avon's team. She's elation, but then also has some weird scaling and synergy in another weird way with her kit like Avon. Yeah, like, I feel like people don't talk about Wu or Genshin being as boring as HSR just because they're open world games where you can walk around a bit and like admire the open world, I guess. But when you really deep it, at least in like my personal experience with Wuwa the past few weeks, this game is legit just as boring. You know? You finish the main quest, you finish the events, all I'm doing is my dailies, and then riding around on a bike during a stream because I'm bored, you know? Like, I just did my dailies. What else am I gonna do? There is this one camera event, but like, that's it. And then this event is straight trash. This shit is actually so trash. So, yeah. I hope they don't push Evan's solutions onto Pearl because I don't know what exactly she could do to fix his fundamental flaws. I don't. Okay. I do think Evan, personally, could be better at base investment, but his Eidolons, I'm pretty sure, are quite strong. Like, I think a high investment Avon is probably like on par with high investment of other teams. But yeah, they're putting a lot of the power behind his Eidolons and not his base kit. His base kit is just mid. So when you do these like one cost comparisons, oh, I already own E1 Tribi. One cost gets me E1 Gilgamesh. I can get SP Robin. Right. Like those three situations he's kind of beat value wise at lower investments. I mean, with the new leaks of Pearl, Pearl should work with Emblade as well. Well, actually, like, I don't know. Doesn't Avon. Oh, no, I forgot. The leaker specified that Pearl can change her path mid battle so that Avon's trace actually works with her. I forgot about that. It's so confusing for no reason. Pearl sounds weird. I mean, Pearl doesn't need to do that much, considering she's a sustain. Just any type of elation synergy plus speed buffing is already significant enough over Whoa. That buffs Avon as well, because Avon likes having more speed. What will be her Lycone situation? It's not that. Okay. Look, you need to understand this. Her path as a character in the game doesn't change. It's only mid battle that her path changes, right? So if she's using an elation Lycone, she's having this elation that if it's outside of battle, it will still work even in battle when she changes her path. That's how I understand it. There's not Like that's not the part that's confusing. The parts that's confusing is why wouldn't you just make this a different sustain? You think Nihilux will have Mary make? No. Nihilux is probably a main DPS. I'm not a Nihilux Cyrene character. I'm not a believer of this. I've already talked about it. I don't believe she's going to be an Elation Cyrene. I just don't. Mary making has been like a specifically Eidolon buff across all the Elation characters. Pro will probably be the main. I mean, yeah, that's kind of obvious. There isn't a single other League sustain. They all have to use her. My only hope is that Astra Yao and the ZZZ HSR collab ends up being a sustain. Astra will probably be a support? No. I don't think so, no. There's already 2 Robins who are singing supports. There's zero reason to make a third. Makes significantly more sense to fill in the last sustain slot for the version with it. What's your favorite area in Wuwa? I don't know. Probably Mengzhou. Actually, no, that's a lie. That place Jin Shi is from. In Huanglong. This one. Mount Firmament. Got M0W1 Remiel, nice. ZZZ Arc when? I don't know anything about ZZZ. I don't know how to play characters. I don't know the meta at all. I don't even know what half the characters even do. I'm just not knowledgeable enough on the game to talk about it. You know Ellen? I mean, yeah. Meta's being able to read? Yeah, but ZZZ has a completely different way of playing than any other gacha I've played. And you also need to understand, not just read. That's the hard part, understanding what you've read and implementing it when you actually play. It's not the hardest thing in the world, but like it obviously takes effort and time. I'd have to focus on playing ZZZ for a while. Gabby is lazy to learn? I mean, yeah, because I'm already playing so many gachas. I don't like bothering to learn a game knowing that it's a game I'm not even going to play actively. Because at some point, if I take long enough of a break, I'm just going to forget everything again, you know? HSR is the sole exception to this. Because I've just been in HSR for way too long to have it affect me like that, you know? Like, even if I took a break from HSR for like a year and a half, I'd still be good with understanding the game. But these other games, I haven't put in enough time to have that type of relationship. You're lucky you don't play Enfield? Well, yeah, that's why I chose not to play it. Yao Shungus is still the most brain dead win comp. I mean, Ye Guang is the next character I need to pull. I have Dial-In and Sunna just sitting there on my ZZZ account. I only log into poll? Yeah, that's what I've been doing kind of on and off. It's how I was able to get Dial-In and Sunna. So now my teams are like, what's it called? M2W1 Zombie with M1W1 Trigger and then Astra. And then I have a Miyabi team that uses M0W1 Yanagi and either Astra or I can't remember what the other character was on that account. And then I have a Sunna and Dial-In that are kind of unbuilt sitting there, waiting for Yishun Guang. Miyabi Yanagi in 2026? Chill. Calm down. It's not that bad. Miyabi needs a Nova Flare? Really? I mean, after I get Ye Shun Guang, I'll have a total of 3 teams. And then I'm just waiting for Sunbringer. That's kind of like the main reason why I kind of want to play ZZZ. Ye Shun Guang finishes the Sun of Dialin team, and then Sunbringer, because I've been waiting for her for a long time. Yanagi hasn't been played with Miyabi since Season 1. I mean, I was consistently using it for endgame for quite a while. When I was actually playing the game. Just pull M2. Nah, we good. M2 Miyabi is shit. Yeah, I remember looking into it a long time ago and being whelmed. I mean, ZZZ Mindscapes just never look as impressive as HSR's Eidolons. It's kind of the thing. That might play a part in it. I'm used to HSR Eidolons. Even an E0 to E2 jump that is like a 90 to 100% jump isn't all that crazy in HSR. Does Ye Shun Guang have a decent M2? I'm not gonna get it because I need to save for Sunbringer, but what's Ye Shun Guang? Is she physical? Yeah, she is. I mean, Ye Shun Guang's M2 jump isn't bad. It's like 50%. To be honest, I think this is like on par with most DPS's M2s in this game. But yeah, Mindscape jumps just aren't all that big in ZZZ, I've realized. Nowhere near the same as HSR, for example. Let me check Miyabi. Oh, Pridewind took down their Miyabi calcs for whatever reason. Nice. Starlight Billy, he's a new DPS, right? M2 jump, 30%. Wow, that's even lower. Jeez. Sanbi, 36%, yeah. All of these are really low. Every day I open Twitter, I see HSR Doom posting. I'm pretty sure I have a video from a few months back talking about how HSR is the most targeted mainstream gacha for people talking about its faults. And that still holds up to this day. Like, no, I rarely ever see a positive video about HSR blow up talking about the cool shit they add. It's always negative videos that just complain and complain. It's just a trend in HSR. I don't know. The community loves doom posting the game. Negative vids get views and clicks. Well, yeah, I agree. It's easier to get views with, quote unquote criticism videos when you only upload basically criticism and nothing else, but you have to be pretty bad to not clear an HSR. If you're playing actively, yeah. I could see someone struggling to clear an HSR if they're not an active player and they take pretty frequent breaks from the game, decent periods of time. But if you actively play the game for a long enough time, it's not the most difficult thing at all to keep up, to be honest. Yeah. I don't know. I do agree though, like the complaints in HSR about power creep and HP inflation, I've always understood, you know? In fact, I was like one of the main people who first started talking about this, I feel like, at early Pentagony. I was making videos about how the HP inflation and power creep was annoying. But I always say this, there's a big difference between, oh, there's HP inflation and power creep, and, oh, you can't clear, or your character doesn't work anymore after 2 patches, which is what a lot of the community parrots for HSR, because it's just not true. Endgame shill buffs change, yeah. I think another issue with HSR is that I think people have moved the goalpost for HSR's free to play friendliness from MOC clears to anomaly arbitration king clears. You know? Which are two dramatically different. Like, you need significantly more investment for king clears than you do normal MOC clears. So now people are kind of using AA King for agenda posting this game, which obviously makes things look worse. But like when you look at some current MOC clears, you still see that like certain characters able to get a 1 cost 0 cycle. I think both Emblade and Ashvale have a 1 cost 0 cycle against the current MOC, which is pretty impressive. One of them is like a 2 cost. Obviously, you just replace E4 Welt with Emblade. They're basically the same amping wise. Yeah, and people also like to talk about 0 cycles in HSR 99% of the time. I always talk about this. There's like this insane double standard when it comes to HSR because people like to calculate how good a character slash team is solely off of 0 cycle and low cost 0 cycles at that, right? You go to like these other open world games like Wu and Genshin, people calculate whether or not a team is still viable even if if there's only like 10 seconds left on the timer after you finish clearing with an old team, people in those games tend to be like, oh, it's still viable, it still works, you just need some investment. Yet in HSR, people would just completely fucking clown on that character. Well, yeah, Loader, there's also that. Some people just pull to pull in HSR and then get mad that they struggle to clear because their investments are complete garbage, right? This isn't even me saying that people need to get every single time the most meta pull, but like at least half the time, I'd assume, half your pulls should have some consideration for upgrading a team or character that you have, instead of just completely leaving it for dead after very minor investment. Also, casuals tend to have terrible relic investment too. That's like really, really common. Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about the fake collab. The only things I've heard people hate about the fake collab is usually the same non HSR players just trying to make fun of the game. Um, Saying that there wasn't anything absolutely extraordinary in terms of any specific like world design or boss design. But the people who aren't just trying to hate on HSR, I've seen basically all say that this fake collab is a massive improvement from the last one, story wise. people dooming Aventurine when his multipliers are really high but his team just sucks. I'm not gonna lie, Aventurine might be the only DPS, or one of the only DPSs in this game, where you can't put the blame on his team. It is just his own kit issues with being elation and having split scaling. Yeah. Like, if Avin could take full advantage of Ashvale Fua buffs for every attack and Mblade's E2, then I think people would complain significantly less, obviously. But he misses Mblade's damage bonus, Mblade's E2 damage bonus. He doesn't have every buff attacked by Ashvale's crit damage for Fua. You know? Like, he's weird. He's weird as a kit design for Fua team specifically. In Elation, his kit makes complete sense, right? Like, there isn't any anti-synergy in Elation teams. It's just this Fua team that sucks. Like, it's a half-assed synergy, in my opinion, is the best way to explain it. It's very, very half-assed. But his Eidolons are quite powerful currently, I believe. So, for the vertical investors, like, they aren't going to have any issues. Because it massively fixes him giving more attack spam, which can make Ashvale's energy regen for his ultimate quite consistent. But that's with Eidolon investment, you know? Like, if you're comparing this guy base to, other one-cost options like Robin SP and E1 Gilgamesh, that's when the problems start to arise, where he's just not anything special. Pearl will fix the Fua team? I mean, yeah, she'll be an upgrade, but it doesn't really change his meta standing, because Pearl is going to be used on all the other Elation teams as well. Every Elation team is probably getting an upgrade from Pearl. So his meta standing, even though he technically gets stronger, would still likely be the same. I saw a team of Mono Rem struggling to clear endgame. Yeah? What's surprising about that? Mono Rem at low costs isn't a good team. It's expensive as shit before it actually starts getting its stride over other teams. The most free-to-play Ampho DPS is probably Phanon in terms of low-cost clears, because he keeps getting indirectly buffed. Hello, Solus. I'm considering E6 Robin SP. How strong is it now that they changed it? Robin SP's E6, if I remember correctly. got changed for better energy regen so that she can action advance even more often than before. It's an incredibly strong E6, I'm pretty sure. I think it might be the strongest support E6 in the game, to be honest. Because it massively alleviates energy issues. I think they are scared if Avon outperforms Evanescia and Silverwolf. Maybe? Like, I'm just gonna be honest. I think Wua made a mistake trying to change the way they create teams by releasing the sub DPSs and supports first in this version, as compared to before, where the sub DPSs and supports almost always released after the main DPS. Right? I think that's the issue here. Because they're trying to do the sub DPS and supports first, and then this leads to them kind of being, a bit clueless, because they're obviously not testing the main DPS yet. Who they're testing is these characters. So when the main DPS testing finally comes around, they have to completely just work with these restrictions in mind of the main DPS needs to do this, the main DPS needs to do that, yada yada yada. Oh, we made Ashvale and Blade too strong as a core for the Fua team. We can't do anything about it, right? They're already released. We can't do anything about it. So now, if we don't want to break the strength of teams in the game and keep them more so even, we need to make sure Avon isn't too strong. Like, it's dumb, right? It's dumb. They just need to go back to the old way of selling teams that they already did, of main DPS first, then the support or sub DPS, and so on and so on. They're currently fucking themselves over in terms of how to build these teams. I'm not gonna lie, even though I don't think Sparksy is going to be replaced, and they're probably going to make it so that Silverwolf's finalized team actually appreciates Sparksy more, Sparksy is this same issue, right? I bet you if they could go back, they would have made Sparksy a speed scaler, just like Yao Guang, just like Avon, just like Silverwolf, and just like Pearl. They would have gone back and done that, but they can't. She's already in the game. So yeah, that's the only thing that is a bit annoying in my opinion. It'd be better if they just went back to their old ways. Now, I would like to say there is one exception of something they've actually done great in this version, which is Yao Guang, right? Technically being basically the Elation Cyrene, but the problem with Cyrene was she was released way too late in the version, which made her very prone to the new version power creep, which is exactly what you are seeing currently. But Yao Guang does not have this issue. They released the, so-called Elation Cyrene in the first patch of the version. So for this entire version, she's best in slot for every single Elation DPS, right? And then even then, it's going to take a little bit in version 5 before the super strong power creep comes and is able to kick out Yao Guang out of some Elation teams. So I think Yao Guang is like the one instance of changing up the schedule of a character release that actually worked really, really well. Why not Nova Sparksy? Maybe because she's a 4-patch old unit. Why the fuck would she get a Nova Flare? We haven't even touched any 3.x units yet. We haven't even touched second half 2.x units yet. You think they'd touch Sparksy? That's not how that works. Sparksy is too strong to get a Nova currently. HSR devs screwing themselves over is always funny. I mean, I don't get why they even tried to change up their schedule to begin with. Because I actually had a video, I think like midway through Ampho, praising the fact that they released the main DPSs first and then released the support slash sub DPSs later, right? Because the issue with WUA sometimes was you wouldn't be able to see the full value of a specific main DPS and how valuable their best in slot support is until a long time, right? Like, for example, you have the release of Phoebe, I believe, was around like 2.1 or something, and then her actual main DPS, Zanny, came in 2.3. So you would have absolutely zero clue how good Phoebe is actually going to end up to be. And this was another issue that plagued people who wanted to invest into Yao Guang, right? Like, you saw this shit. Oh my god, Yao Guang is going to be worse than EMC. Yao Guang is going to get replaced in a few patches. Yao Guang isn't going to be that great. She's only going to be good for Evanescia. Like, the only reason shit like this could actually be parroted and talked about is because there was no or not enough Elation main DPSs to give Yao Guang her credibility. You know? Like, that's the issue with supports first, DPS after, in my opinion. But if you do DPS first and support after, nobody complains. Nobody. Like, you're instantly shut up. The only thing people can say is, oh, just wait till the end of the beta, because anything can change in the beta. And that's it. I guess they thought people would get supports more first than DPS. I mean, that just doesn't make sense, though. Most people would... The only thing this does is increase rerun sales, probably. That's probably the only thing this does. People don't pull Yao Guang because they don't need to, because Silverwolf isn't coming out for another 2 patches. Then Silverwolf beta comes out, you see Yao Guang is best in slot, and then in the next patch you just get Yao Guang's rerun banner. Right? So you kind of lessen initial banner sales, but increase rerun banner sales, I guess. But it's like, why? I don't think there's necessarily any benefit here. But then people have time to save. It isn't any different. What? Like, there's no difference. The only reason that it's been easier to save in this version, in comparison to previous ones, is because this version has more solo character patches than any version before. You have Ashvale solo character, Emblade solo character, Pearl solo character, and Nihilux solo character. Half the patches in this version only have one limited. That's what's made it so easy to save. If they didn't do these one limited patches and they kept making most of them two limited, then people wouldn't have had as much time to save for Silverwolf, for example. Right? Silverwolf should have technically, if they didn't do solo limited patch with Ashvale, been on 4.1, in which you would have had to pull Yao Guang in 4.0, Silverwolf in 4.1. Actually, Yao Guang, Sparksy, and Silverwolf. Because I do believe this is going to be her finalized team, despite what people say about Sparksy. So that's 3 in a row. In 2 patches. Who cares how much they make? Because usually decisions are decisions are made in gacha companies with making more money in mind. They likely made all these changes to their release schedule and how they release teams and characters because they wanted to test whether or not it was more profitable or less profitable than what they were already doing. But I think it's very clearly less profitable, in my opinion. And it just creates needless discourse. Hello, Raid. Yeah, I'm not here like one of those people. I'm not trying to flex oh, I want HSR to make more money so I can flex it against other gachas. That shit is dumb. It's just that usually money is the main driving force for why they do these changes. Good night, Dark. Also, I would like to say, I do believe, you can see this clearly, because in the early leaks, the early release schedule for 4.x, before everything got changed suddenly, it was leaked that Pearl was in 4.3, right? Hyacine was in 3.3 as the sustain for Cassie. So clearly, they did originally intend for Pearl to be the Elation sustain and come out the patch after Silverwolf, right? That was the original intent. And then they changed it. And they moved Pearl and Nihilux all the way to the later second half, for whatever reason. So they were gonna do it again. They were gonna have the same schedule as last version, and then they changed it. For God knows whatever reason. This is the reason why I don't think Elation Battleship is complete yet. Well, despite the Pearl difference, Sparksy and Yao Guang were always leaked to release in the first version. And Yao, okay. I need you guys to understand this. Yao Guang's banner lasted the entire patch. Right? The only other supportive character who has had a banner who has lasted the entire patch is Cyrene. You guys need to hang up this Yao Guang isn't part of the Mono Elation team shit. And Sparksy is very clearly meant to synergize with Pearl, who likes attack frequency, and Sparksy has way too much buffing in both her Eidolon's base kit and Lycone to not be a sub DPS. It's just way, way too obvious. That's why Yao Guang is staying and Sparksy is leaving. Yeah, but people who say this are dumb. Respectfully, are dumb. They don't understand the kits. They don't understand the context. They don't understand the nuance of why it's so much different from Mono Rem. They just say shit. This is just agenda pushing for Sparksy to be removed from the team. I just went from M0 to M2 Remiel in 60 pulls. Nice. You think Nihilux is still going to be another main DPS? Yeah, I don't think she's going to be a Cyrene. I think she's going to be a main DPS. As someone with Mono Elation and E0 S1 Sparksy, the anti-synergies are obvious. And her attack frequency isn't anything crazy either. That's just a lie. She's the only Elation character on the Silverwolf team whose every attack, every move is an attack. Like, it's specified that Pearl benefits from allies having a high attack frequency. There's no one with a higher attack frequency in Silverwolf's team than Sparksy. Because her ultimate skill, Aha Instant, like everything she does is an extra attack. And even Sparksy's vertical investment becomes more synergistic with this. Because her E2 makes it so that she gains an extra turn at the end of every Aha Instant, which is more attack frequency, more punchline gen. Like, the only anti-synergy that people can ever name for Sparksy is the fact that she's not speed scaling. She's an attack scaler. Everybody else on the team is speed scaling, so she doesn't take advantage of Pearl's speed buffs as well. That's it. We're talking about one minor anti-synergy when she has a ton of synergy in every other part of the kit. Silverwolf's loot boxes can be triggered with everyone. Yes, but none of them can trigger it as easily as Sparksy, who can use her skill up to 20 times in a single turn. The second box activation condition, I'm pretty sure, is like 20 or 25%. So most of the time without a Sparksy, you don't even get the second box off. Sparksy will always be able to get the second box off, so long as you have enough skill points, which is pretty consistent. I hope Nihilux just replaces Sparksy. But it's like, why? I don't get it. Oh my god. Why does this community want Sparksy to get kicked out of probably the only team that gives her value? Like, why? I don't own Sparksy, right? Like, I don't even own Sparksy on my Silverwolf account. I shouldn't give a shit. But I'm just, like, so confused. Like, it is not a good thing if Sparksy gets kicked out of Silverwolf's team by Nihilux. It's not a good thing. It's only a bad thing. The number one thing that this implies, not only is it bad that Sparksy's getting kicked out of the only team that basically gives her value, to make someone who is noticeably better than Sparksy so that they can replace Sparksy in this Silverwolf Mono Elation team, Silverwolf is going straight back to the strongest team in the game by a noticeable amount, right? Because she's not only going to get an upscale by Pearl in a little bit, she now gets upscaled by Nihilux as well, in this hypothetical. Like, no other team is touching her. Sparksy will be buffed as a main DPS, though? Brother, Sparksy is the weakest Elation main DPS right now. She's getting buffed. So is every other Elation main DPS team. She's at the bottom, with probably the weakest team vertical investment in comparison to all of them as well. Because both her E1 and E2 are mainly focused on buffing a team's damage, because that's what she is, a sub DPS. Her Eidolons just aren't tailored enough for main DPS. What happened with Evernight and Cyrene back-to-back for Casterus? See, this is what I mean. This is the surface level understanding that I'm always talking about. Cassie didn't have a dedicated support. Okay? She didn't have a Yao Guang. She didn't have a Sparksy. She was leeching off of Herda's Tribi for almost the entire version. Her only dedicated support on that entire team was Hyacine. That was the only one. This is a completely different situation. The support, the main Elation support, and the main Elation sub DPS have released earlier. Like, there is a massive difference. I was one of the first people who was incredibly aware of the fact that Cassie was likely going to get more teammates down the line in the version. The reason I don't think the same way I did back then currently is because there's a clear difference in the way they've sold characters. There's already an Elation support. If Nihilux is a main DPS, are they just going to make her take Silverwolf teammates? I mean, it's not even Silverwolf teammates. Every Elation character. They're all reliant on the exact same supports. It's an archetype, you know? It's like Break DPS is being reliant on Dahlia and Fugue. Okay, Fugue might be a bit of a stretch, but that's because we have newer version characters who are now noticeably better than Fugue, right? If you compare Fugue to the supports that were released in her version, she is still technically the best break option, you know? So it's the same thing. It's the same thing as Chrysos Air DPS's, you know, not everybody can share Cyrene. Cyrene can only go in one of their teams. You're not actually expected by Hoyo to pull all 5 Elation DPSs, you know, and have a different teammate for every single one. That's not really what they are trying to do. You think Nihilux will be a DPS? Yeah. It's unrealistic to think that a main push will steal the teammates of another main push who hasn't gotten a rerun yet. Brother, Silverwolf is probably going to rerun in the next couple patches. Why are you even bringing up this rerun argument? She's either rerunning in 4.5 or rerunning in 4.6 before Nihilux drops. It's unrealistic to think that a main push will steal the teammates of another main push. Wasn't Robin best in slot for both Acheron and Fei Xiao? I'm pretty sure Robin plus Nihility was Acheron's best in slot team. And Fei Xiao's best in slot team also used Robin. Ruan Mei was the best support for every single 1.x character in that version as well. And they all had to share Ruan Mei. See, but this is the thing, Nothing. You are bringing up arbitrary things and then making it as if these are some already standardized rules that Hoyo cannot go against, right? Like, what's the point of these semantics, right? You're just nitpicking some weird occurrence, some occasional occurrence, which, to be honest, doesn't even apply. There's been previous main pushes who used the same team, you know? Oh, Phanon and Castorus. They both like Cyrene. Who could have guessed, right? But even ignoring that, it's arbitrary. None of this actually affects the way they sell characters. You know, that's just not how it works. The teammate overlap can affect your pulling plans? Yes, but understand, this game doesn't give a shit about your teammate overlap, right? Every HP scaling DPS in HSR needs to completely fight a tug of war over Hyacine. Every break DPS needs to fight a tug of war for Dahlia. Every Ampho DPS needs to fight a tug of war for Cyrene. I can go on and on and on. This is a normal occurrence in HSR for you not to have a separate teammate for every single main push and every single DPS. It's normal. Phanon doesn't give a fuck about Cyrene. There's a reason why she's at her weakest when paired with Phanon. Brother, Phanon with Cyrene, Ceridra, and Robin Espy is his current strongest team. Like, and she's the only one who provides him an infinite ultimate, so that he never needs to get out and restack. Infinite sustainless. Do you think HSR will ignore the market who already has Silverwolf? They won't need to pull Nihilux? Who cares? Who gives a fuck? And it's already been leaked that Nihilux at E2 does gain some supportive capability and some versatility in her role with being able to be put in Silverwolf's team. If you care so much about versatility in a character's use, get Nihilux's E2 and make her a Silverwolf teammate, but at base, she's a main DPS. What about it? Bro, Blad, shut up. Like, this agenda pushing is getting annoying. A bunch of hoopla. I'm hearing nothing but bullshit. The same leak said that at base she's a main DPS plus support. No, it didn't. We already went over this. We rechecked this in the last stream when I'm pretty sure you talked about this. It was just DPS at base and can be used as a support in Silverwolf's team specifically at E2. That was the leak. Like, this shit is just so dumb. Jesus. Like, people will do anything to cope, man. It's just a bunch of BS. What leaks is bro seeing? Probably a mistranslated one from some random. Who knows? She's a main DPS at E1, and at E2 she can kick out Sparksy to support Silverwolf. There you go. You just fucking answered it. The leak specifies that at E2 she can be a support for Silverwolf. At E2. Like, Jesus. Read the rest. She can be both a support and a main. Yes, that's mentioned after the fact of E2. Like, do you not understand this? They're talking after they mention her E2. They're not talking about base Nihilux is versatile. Base Nihilux can be a support and a main DPS. That's not what they're saying. Idiocy. Oh my god. I mean, it's like, people are just dumb. Because in the same way, okay, it has already been proven that because of Elation's inherent synergy with each other, even if you aren't necessarily created to be a support for another character, if you have supportive Eidolons as a sub DPS slash main DPS for Elation, you can replace EMC. High cost Evanescia clears. I have seen use Sparksy multiple times, and it's genuinely noticeably better than EMC because of the damage output of Sparksy, the early Eidolons that buff the team, and as well as the fact that nobody really consumes all that many skill points in that team anyways. So people run an Evanescia plus Sparksy combo and just shit on content. Nihilux is probably the same thing. She has an extremely supportive E2 that probably trumps Sparksy's base value, kicks her out of a Silverwolf team, but she's still meant to be a main DPS. It's really just not all that outlandish. When did leakers start knowing about character strength? Sparksy is best in slot at high cost because of raw strength, not inherent kit synergy. Aren't you the one that's relying on the fact that leakers are saying that she's strong enough to kick Sparksy out at a Silverwolf team at E2? And you're saying that I can't use what leakers are saying as an argument because they're never right? And also, Sparksy does have synergy. Like, are you dumb? Oh my god. Brother, it's elation. There is inherent synergy. Sparksy generates more punchlines. She has a high damage output. With early Eidolons and Lycone, she buffs Evanescia and the entire team's elation damage, res pen, and takes extra turns to generate more punchline. Like, this is just a bunch of hoopla. You don't know what you're talking about. This isn't an Avin situation. Avin literally gives nothing to Ashblade. He's just taking. He's not giving anything. Sparksy actually gives and takes. We barely got Pearl leaks today. We're talking out of our asses. I mean, this is what I'm saying, though, right? Like, she could be a support. She could be this, she could be that. But with every at least semi-reliable leak that we currently have, it is nothing but baseless agenda doom posting to say that Sparksy is getting kicked out of the Mono Elation team, right? You can have your own biased belief that it isn't happening, but objectively, the more likely scenario that is going to happen with current information available is that Nihilux is a main DPS. Bam. Right? Supportive capability at E2, can replace Sparksy and Silverwolf's team at E2, but without E2, no. And she's a main DPS. Jesus. Okay. Tell Anon to come back? Brother, what the fuck is Anon gonna do? What do you think Anon is gonna do? You think Anon's any better? Anon wouldn't help us all that much. We might get slight drip of info, like a couple weeks earlier, and that's about it. He's not leaking Nihilux at all. In her kit, probably. The best Anon did was talk about Yao Guang and Silverwolf's preset teams. like a couple weeks before the beta came out. And it led to a majority of the misinfo being spread that EMC would be better than Yao Guang because there was more preset teams with EMC. So surely that means he's better than Yao Guang. I don't remember that, Joey, to be honest. That's how I ended up a Yao Guang hater. I skipped her and got Sparksy instead because of leaks in Silverwolf V1. I mean, yeah. To be fair, I believe I was still saying during Silverwolf's beta that I think Sparksy is better than Yao Guang, which was wrong. Like, for a few versions of the beta, I was still pushing the I think Sparksy is better, but Yao Guang is still best in slot thing. This is the problem. I'm not a private server guy. I can't test shit myself. So sometimes I end up falling for the propaganda of shitty runs from shitty private testers. Every opinion I make has to be like intuitive off of the kit, which makes it a bit more annoying because not everything translates that well into practical gameplay. We should have pulled both. I mean, objectively, Sparksy is not worth getting unless you have E2 Silverwolf and E1 Yao Guang already. Right. Like, okay, I'm not trying to argue that Sparksy's value in Silverwolf's team is insane. Right? That's not what I'm trying to argue at all. I think Sparksy's value will increase with the release of Pearl in the team, but she'll still likely be the least important investment on Silverwolf's team, in my opinion, right? That's just kind of how it is. But she's still gonna stay best in slot. Do you think that this game will ever end? No, probably not. They haven't ended High Third. They haven't ended Genshin. Snezhnaya is not the last place of Genshin. They were talking about like 10 years into the future or whatever in a Genshin dev stream. They don't really plan to kill these games, no. Or like stop the story. I accidentally got E1 Sparksy. That's nice. Sparksy has some pretty good early Eidolons for buffing her team. You notice, like, E1 Sparksy and E1 Silverwolf are both for buffing the team, because Silverwolf isn't supposed to be the only one who does damage. Like, similar to a Monorem, it's very clear that they're making it so that Silverwolf's team has everybody being able to do some damage. Pearl will probably be able to do damage and benefits from E1 Yao Guang, E1 Silverwolf, and E1 Sparksy. Yao Guang does a bit of damage, but she does the least. Sparksy does the second most, and then Silverwolf does the most. I hope Sparksy's Lycone is good on Nihilux because I kind of regret it. Bruh. I need Nihilux to buff Sparksy main DPS. Now that's cope. But I respect it. To be honest, as of current, I'm much more amazed at Robin's value than I am at caring about Nihilux and Pearl. That might seem a bit crazy, but I never expected Robin SP to be as good as she is currently. I thought Robin SP would be like a throwaway character. I didn't expect them to make a better Emblade after I just glazed Emblade as the best character in the game. Generalist, yeah. Admittedly, I am biased towards generalist characters. I'm always glazing them. And it's for a reason. It's not like fake glaze. I truthfully believe in it. So when I see Emblade and Robin SP, it's like, you know? Like, you get to use these guys in so many different teams. For Sparkle Team 1, 8.6. I come from the future. Will Robin SP fit well in a Saber Gilga team? Yeah. Robin is better than Emblade in our Saber Gilga team. Especially after these recent buffs to the Vibe Gen and Energy Regen. I mean, she was already better before, but she's definitely better now. It's easier to stack the vibes. Does Robin SP need her Lycone? No, I don't think so. Yeah, I know. I know the attack buff for Robin gets pretty crazy. I saw a comparison of Ceridra versus Robin SP, and not even including the 40% defense shred and 20% vulnerability, just comparing the attack buff, because Ceridra's main buffing is attack. Ceridra gives Phanon like 1k attack, a little more than 1k, and then Robin is able to give him 3000 attack. So Phanon gets 3000 attack, 40% defense shred, 20% vulnerability, 30% damage bonus from the technique getting snapshotted. It's kind of funny how bricked Elation is without Yao. Well, yeah. I mean, that's kind of her job. It's not like Yao Guang has any value outside of Elation teams. She better stay that way. The second she gets power crept in Elation teams, she doesn't really have anywhere else. Hello. If you're a zero AV player, I mean, zero AV is just dumb. Zero AV is like the ultimate agenda posting, to be honest. Like the end game boss of agenda posting. That's what zero AV is. Like, for example, the main reason why there was an agenda against Phenon being dog shit when he released was because there was like, I remember there was this extremely shilled APOC for Saber, and if you did this one Saber setup correctly, she could zero AV the APOC boss, and APOC is one of Phenon's weakest modes. So I believe Zulza made a video talking about how Saber is so much better than Phenon, and how she's gonna age way better than Phenon because of that APOC zero AV. And that led to a ton of the Phenon Doom posting. Because, like, you need to keep in mind, the only reason Saber is able to zero AV that is because she hits the perfect damage threshold and the boss is enough of a shill. The second the enemy change, she can no longer do that. So when you looked at actual DPAV metrics for like 150, 300 AV, Phenon cleared Saber. But in zero AV for getting damage off instantly, yeah, she was better for a bit. Or one patch, to be more accurate. I mean, I'm pretty sure Saber, even with Gilgamesh as well. Like, Gilgamesh was a massive upscale for her. But I think Saber still loses to Faye. Because Faye has been getting constant indirect upgrades. With Nova Sparkle, Emblade, and now Robin SP. I think Phenon still gets lower cost clears than Saber. Which is just, I mean, that's the GOAT. Oh, really, Joey? That's funny. Yeah, I know. Guess I have to get Summer Robin on my ult for Faye. Yeah. I mean, it's just the defense shred buffing. Both the defense shred and the vuln. Because I was talking about it before. Phenon has no sources of vulnerability in his teams. Unless you're using Nova Sparkle. So if you're running the Saridra Cyrene comp, without Cyrene's Light Cone, there's no vulnerability. So vulnerability is a really strong buff to get from Robin SP. And then you also get the fact that, you know, there's a bit of an issue with Robin in teams, obviously, the vibe stacking. Because she clears half the vibes when her birds attack, but Phenon doesn't have this issue. Like, with a Cyrene team, Infinite Ult, he eventually caps out the stacks, and he has max defense shred. And the thing is, this recent update made it even easier for him to do this. Because now, the main target of Robin's ult generates 2 vibes per attack extra instead of just 1, right? So he caps out the defense shred buff way faster than he did before, making his damage output even better. She has a surprisingly good amount of synergy with him. Is Robin best in slot for Phenon now? I believe she's the best in slot for slot. Yeah. So it goes Phenon, Saridra Cyrene, Robin SP. And then, preferably, you would have an E1 Saridra in this case scenario. Because with Robin SP, with E1 Saridra, and with Phenon's Light Cone, I believe you near hitting 100% defense shred when you do those double skills. And, because she's Remembrance, and has synergy with Cyrene stacking, it is possible to get Phenon in his ultimate with an E0 Cyrene within 70 AV, I believe, with the most optimal setup. So you consume less than half a cycle's AV to get him into his ultimate, and he's already, you know, just destroying infinite ult, buffs from Robin SP, nearly capped out defense shred vulnerability buffing, damage bonus, everything. Do you need E2 Cyrene? No. You can do it with E0. Was about to say, is it GG's for Saridra? No. Saridra's main value... Well, okay. If it weren't for Cyrene teams buffing Saridra to give more crit damage and to make it easier to get more double skills, Saridra would already be replaced. Right? Like, at a base, Saridra's value for Phanon without Cyrene is dog shit. She's already been replaced. But with Cyrene, yeah. Because we're now at a point where it would be very easy to replace Saridra's occasional double skill with just someone who amps way, way, way more. Like M-Blade or something, right? Because M-Blade has a fat amount of vulnerability debuffs. Like, I'm pretty sure as of recent, I've even seen some like AA King clears, MOC clears, and like other game mode clears where a Saridra comp is basically on the same level, if not losing to, in cost, to like Bronya Action Advancer comps without Saridra, or Sparkle Nova comps can be as competitive, if not, like, she's just getting diffed by the buffing, despite her synergy with Faye. You know? She's not a must pull necessarily. The only thing that's a little annoying with Robin SP, if you're planning to go into her vertical investment for Phanon, is that her E2 is useless for Phanon in the Cyrene comps. Because in the Cyrene comps, you're never going to let the birds hit. Because you're always in his ult, you know? So the E2 Robin is useless for Faye. If Summer Robin can free up RMC for my Eva team, I'll get her. Maybe. I mean, she does have way better buffing. The only thing is, I think RMC might give more action advances than Robin. Is the kit of New Sunday now? No. Not even close. We don't have any clue about what Nova Sunday is going to do. Like, I'm going to be dead honest. My original prediction and like theories for what Sunday Nova's kit would be ended up just being Robin SB. So I don't even know what Sunday Nova is going to be anymore. He might not be a team-wide buffer. To be honest, I think... Okay. I think Himiko's finalized team is probably going to be Sunday Nova with Robin SB. I think that's where it's headed currently. And like... That's going to be a goated duo support for a shit ton of teams in the game just generally. I think is more so of what I think they might be aiming for. Because, like, once again, I thought Sunday Nova would just be Robin SP, the same kit. It would be cool if Sunday still became, like, part ways a team buffer, though. Like, that would obviously just be better. But it's a bit confusing currently, in my opinion. I remember Uncle Y said some stuff about it. Yeah, he did. Uncle Y said that Sunday's buffs would become team wide. I'm pretty sure. So, but like, I just don't know, right? Like, he could definitely be right. He's right more than he's wrong for sure. I'm just a bit skeptical because once again, like, SP Robin just feels like what Nova Sunday should have been. Team wide buffs, action advance, ult with energy regen, passive energy regen gain, better buffs to his E1 for more defense shred. Robin's buffs also increase her own defense shred and attack and crit damage buffs. Like, I don't know. Maybe the plan is E1 Sunday plus E0 Robin plus Himiko with S1 is 100% defense shred, and that's supposed to be her best in slot verdict team or something. Give Faye another buff? Yeah, Phanon would get buffed by Nova Sunday, yeah, probably. Like, depending on how good Nova Sunday's buffs are, and is E1 getting reworked to no longer have the summon restriction? Yeah. That would definitely go, like, him, like, you might just run Sireneless at that point. Sunday Nova with E1, Robin SP, Faye, and then, I don't know, any other strong buffer or Ceridra, just for the double skills, and you're kind of done at that point. Like, the buffs are kind of disgusting. Sunday Nova benefits a lot of teams. Imagine Topaz gets a Nova flare and replaces Avon. You joke, but it's pretty doable, no? If they don't purposely botch her Nova, and she gives really, really strong, like, stronger debuffs than what she currently has for the enemy she and Nummy are attacking, and then you, like, target them with Ash Veil, I could see it. I could see her being pretty close and maybe better with Eidolons. Like, given what Topaz is, if you actually give her a fair Nova, she's basically a second Ash Veil. Like, that's basically what she is. True damage is a separate multiplier which he will miss without Cyrene/RMC. Don't think Sunday is out amping that. I don't know how to tell you this, but Cyrene and RMC have already gotten out amped by a ton of the newer supports, like Robin SP, M-Blade, and Nova Sparkle. All three of these characters out amp them. True damage is strong because there's no other source of true damage, but that's it. If there's enough quantity of another buff that's strong too, it will beat true damage. That's just how it goes. It doesn't matter how unique true damage is. He out DPS's Ashvale and multi-target? I mean, I'd hope so. His ult and Fu are all AoE. How good is Robin E1 for Phanon? It's good. It works. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. It works. Phanon doesn't hit 100% defense shred, I think. Even with E1 Saridra. So the E1 works. Okay, how much defense shred is Phanon's Lycone again? I actually forgot. Let me check. Honkai Star Rail. Characters. Physical. Phanon. Is it like 18%? Okay. So his Lycone gives 18%. Saridra gives him 36% total on double skills. So you're at 54%. And then Robin gives him 40% max, which brings him to 94%. So even with E1 Saridra, and only on double skills, which aren't his most common attacks, you still don't hit 100%. So yeah, you can still take advantage of Robin SP's E1 for Phanon, even with an E1 Saridra. Without an E1 Saridra, 100%. The way Robin doesn't have good Lycone options, but her Lycone is still not worth pulling. In my opinion, Robin's Lycone is really only worth pulling for like her, what's it called? Like her teams that use Cyrene and Hyacine. Because those two actually get stat boosts from having a high amount of speed, with Cyrene's Res Pen and Hyacine's healing. But like those are the only two. If someone doesn't have like a speed trait, like nobody cares. The speed buffing doesn't do that much. It's just better to get her E1 in almost every scenario. Can't wait for Topaz Nova to beat Avin in the Ashblade team. I mean, maybe, yeah. Depends. Like, once again, I think you can bet on the fact that they might make Topaz's Nova purposely underwhelming to not hurt Avin's sales. You know? Like, that's definitely a real possibility here. It's kind of like the Ho-Ho Nova situation. Like, the Nova was an improvement, but it wasn't anywhere near the improvement it should have been, and that was probably on purpose to make it easier to sell Pearl for the Elation teams. Do you think Pearl will have a way to reach 40% defense shred? Um, I do think she might have a defense shred buff. I don't think it's going to be in her base kit. You know? That I don't think is happening. I think, oh, the dog's going to go crazy for a few minutes. Sorry, guys. But, yeah, it's probably going to be in her E1. I think Pearl's E1 is going to have a defense shred on it. Bark, 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 bark. Bro. Yeah, it could also be on Pearl's Lycone. Good point. Either defense shred on Lycone or Eidolon or both. Because they could do both. They could do 20 on Lycone and 20 on E1 to hit 100% inhalation teams. Ain't nobody gonna pick him in this state. Well, Avon would still be better than Topaz no matter what at higher investment. Right? Like, that's the thing. Even if, hypothetically, they make Topaz a second Ashvale, and the FUA team obviously can use Topaz now, on par with Avon, let's say. Avon's vertical investment is still way better than Topaz's. You know? Unless there's a game-changing vertical investment change to Topaz, she would lose to higher investment Avons. And the further you go, the much, much worse it gets for her. So that might be what they could possibly do to justify it. It's oh, Topaz is a nice alternative at base, but if you want the full premium experience, an E2 Avon is going to kick her ass. You know? I think him not being better than E1 Tribby / E0S Robin hurts his sales. Well, yeah. Once again, it's another situation of at base he's underwhelming. And that's the main issue he's currently facing. His only thing that's really enticing is for those who have no issues with vertical investment. His vertical investment is really, really strong. He has some of the biggest Eidolon jumps in the game. And I'm pretty sure E6 is extraordinary. So, it just depends. If you're a vertical investor, then Avon will be great, to be honest, right? I'm not even going to say good or okay. He's going to be great if you go into E2 plus for him. But if you don't go that far and you try to stay at E0, there's so much better competition that's more worth pulling on. What's it called? Robin SP. Because you get way more value off of Robin SP. It's not even close. Her versatility is just disgusting. So if you ever move on from the FUA team in the future, you can just instantly change Robin to a different team. Which you can't really do with Avon, you know? The only way they could fix him is make him give team-wide amp. Yeah, I guess. E2 Evan, is that good? Yeah, it recently got buffed. His E1 and E2 investment are noticeably better. And then I think he has the strongest E6 in the game currently as well, from what I've seen. Like, his E0 S0 jump going to E2 S1, I saw a calc. It was like a 2.5x increase for the team's damage, which, like, that's pretty big, right? That actually is pretty big. And then I saw the E6 was at fucking 600%. There's some crack behind his E6. I haven't looked into it enough because I didn't even realize it was that strong. But he has very strong Eidolon investment. Do you think Pearl will give team-wide energy like Huohuo? She could. It's not all that out there, since one of her DPSs is Evanesia. But amongst the likely buffs that Pearl would have, energy regen is on the low priority, in my opinion. So I find it a bit questionable, although it's possible. I'd lean towards she wouldn't have energy buffing, in my opinion. Or she could have energy buffing, but it would have to be in her relation-specific teams. Like, oh, you generate this amount of punchline, or after this many attacks, or after Aha instant goes, you gain this much energy, or allies gain this much energy. Nothing game-breaking, really. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you can usually get a glimpse at how good these like type of sustain characters kits are gonna be and what they're gonna do through the main push DPS that they're being targeted towards. And in Pearl's case, this is Silverwolf. And Silverwolf does not care about energy. Yes, her teammates do. I'll admit it, right? Obviously, her teammates do. Sparksy likes energy. Yao Guang really likes energy. But Silverwolf doesn't. So that could possibly obstruct it. Yao Guang without LC nor Huohuo is gonna feel unplayable. That's not really how it works. You just get a slightly slower ult. Her value is still way too high in these elation teams. You guys need to understand that in like practical gameplay, Yao Guang's light cone is legit like a 7% buff over Mushy in practical gameplay. Because while yes, it takes longer to get the ult, that's it. Like, you maybe take one extra turn, or a mob hits you one or two extra times, bam, you can just get ult anyways. It's not that big of a deal in actual gameplay. It's only a big deal for zero cyclers who are trying to get as many Yao Guang ults as possible in like a zero cycle. I have a feeling Avan SP isn't actually the real main DPS for Fua. Then who is? Like, I don't even mean to sound condescending here, Well, like, who are you putting your hopes in? Fei Xiao Nova? I do agree. If the agenda here is Fei Xiao Nova, I agree. I've been saying this for a while. They will not Nova Fei Xiao in this version because Fei Xiao is way better as a Fua main DPS than Aventurine. If she were to get Nova'd right now, she'd be better than Aventurine. I am in the Fei Xiao Nova stocks. I think they're purposely delaying her Nova until version 5 after Aventurine has been out for a while because they know people would just use Fei Xiao. It has to be Topaz Nova? Nah. A golden token character? Zero chance. She could be good, but not dedicated best in slot. She's better than E0S1 Aven if your Emblade is E2. Maybe in single target, but I do feel like Aven has a slight advantage over Fei Xiao in the fact that he actually does have some damage scaling in AoE outside of his bounce. Like, the 5 target damage for the Fua team is actually quite good, unlike all the older Fua teams. Am I crazy, or does it feel like Archer fell off because allegedly E2 Rin is better as a main DPS than Archer's team? Especially if we get a new Rin support, big Rin bias here. Hey, I appreciate the honesty. I appreciate the honesty at the end. But no, you aren't necessarily wrong. The problem with Archer, and especially Archer with Rin, is that he kinda has no verticals. Right? He has none. His E1 with Rin plus Sparkle, almost useless. His E2, occasional 20% reg shred against one specific target, and the ultimate needs to be refreshed on this target. And the rest of his Eidolons are trash, right? His next best investment in his team is S1 Rin, E2 Sparkle, and maybe E1 and E2 Danheng PT if you're using a sustain team. But that's terrible, right? All of these investments are kinda ass. But he's kinda locked to using either Sparkle or Rin or both, because he needs to consume so many skill points. Rin does not have this issue. She doesn't have some unique gimmick that locks her to using one or two specific supports. Rin can use any generalist buffers in this game. Her own E1 and E2 jumps are quite significant for personal damage, and her Eidolons are much better jumps for her personal damage. And her Lycone is also extraordinarily strong for increasing her personal damage as well. So the issue is, at higher investments, Archer is much more restricted than Rin because he does not have as many teammate options. And he just doesn't have as much good verticals to invest into, which Rin does not have a problem with. That's kind of what's going on with that. The next Anoxa, yeah, kinda. That is kinda what Archer feels like. He is a low-cost warrior. He's not a high-cost warrior, you know? I mean, technically, I do believe Robin SP is better than Rin for Archer currently with E1, right? Asterisk with E1. Because without Rin, obviously you don't have as much SP positivity in SP Gen, so his E1 matters more here. So if you have Sparkle plus E1 Archer, Robin SP I do believe is better than Rin. But that's like as far as it goes. It's not like Robin SP is like completely destroying Rin, you know? So even with that technical upgrade, it's just not big enough to cover the difference between him and Rin main DPS. Rin is also locked to Sparkle and Saridra though? No, not really. I have seen Rin get good clears without Saridra and without Sparkle. Why do you replace Rin when Sparkle exists? What do you mean, why'd I replace Rin? Because Sparkle is way better at buffing than Rin? If there's no issue with getting more attacks off, Sparkle is probably better than Rin. Sparkle's vertical investment is also more synergistic as well with Robin SP as the next teammate on the team. Like, assuming you're running a sustain team with Archer, and you have to choose between replacing Rin or Sparkle, it's Rin. He needs an action advancer. If you're running Archer, Robin SP, sustain, and then fill slot, he needs an action advancer outside of Robin SP. Robin SP's action advances aren't frequent enough to just get rid of Sparkle, in my opinion. So, in a Robin SP Archer team, the value of action advance is amplified more than usual. Unless you're running sustainless. If you have a sustainless team going on with RMC giving you actions, I could see you putting Rin in there instead of Sparkle. Maybe. Yeah. But in a sustain team, I don't think you get rid of Sparkle. %150 attack buff? Yes, but you're only looking at the buffs. You're not looking at the action advance, which gives Archer more turns to do damage. Like, you can't just look at straight up face value buffs. If you only looked at face value buffs, Emblade would be better than Robin in every single team. You know? Because Emblade does have better base buffs than Robin. At least generally. In certain attack scalar teams, Robin can come out ahead because of how kind of overtuned her attack buffing is currently. Didn't Robin SP also heal a tiny bit? No. I don't think Robin SP heals at all. I'm pretty sure Robin is incredibly strong with Archer in a sustainless comp. Robin is best in slot for Archer. Like, currently. I'm pretty sure. Like, Robin SP currently beats Rin in his teams. And especially in sustainless, it's like far and away. The problem with Archer is, like, okay, I talked about this a little bit back as well, where I was talking about how Gilgamesh Doom posting was way too overdone, and with the cherry on top, I added at the time during Gilga's beta, Gilgamesh is a way better sub DPS for his main DPS than Rin is. Rin is significantly more replaceable And a lot of people didn't agree with me because, I mean, it was just fucking Ringlaze and Gilga Doom posting the entire beta. But, like, you can see exactly what I meant now, right? Like, unfortunately, with the release of Robin SP, Rin is a buff to Archer, or was, over any other option, for one patch, right? But because Archer already has Nova Sparkle, and Archer's base strength is higher than Gilga's, the Hoyo devs purposely went out of their way to make sure Rin wasn't as strong as a buff for Archer as Gilga is for Saber, which unfortunately hurts the longevity that she has. So now people can just use Robin SP instead of Rin. It is what it is. No way Robin SP would get nerfed. She's not getting nerfed. The only thing that could possibly make a little sense of getting nerfed is maybe the attack buffing, because her attack buffing is fucking fat in some teams, alongside her already good defense shred and vulnerability buffing. But very, very minor shit. I don't think she's getting nerfed. I said this last time. I said in my video like one day before V3, I don't think she's getting nerfed, and if anything, I think she might get slight buffs to her passive energy gen and vibe stacking, which is exactly what they did. They're completely happy with Robin SP currently. Yeah, exactly nothing. It's just that Robin, the reason why Robin looks, even stronger than Emblade in some teams is one, the defense shred amping. We're finally in an era where you can hit 100% defense shred on multiple teams, which increases the value of a mainly defense shred amper. But also, she has action advance, right? Emblade's main value is in his attack spam. And there's a lot of teams that can take advantage of that. The infinite loops that have come out prove that attack spam is good. But without infinite loops happening, and for a lot of teams, action advance and energy regen can beat Emblade attack spam. And that's what Robin does, right? So there are some teams that appreciate her action advance more. And that's why she looks really strong. Upgrade to Saber Gilga team, upgrade to Himiko team, upgrade to Phanon Sustainless teams, especially with Cyrene. Is she an upgrade to Eggy? Maybe. I don't know. I'm not much of an Eggy understander, really. I mean, yeah, she's just good. She's great. Yeah, like she just isn't anything game breaking, even though she's great. So there's no reason to nerf her. I mean, this is a new character, like new versions. I always say this. I think people need to understand this more and more as time goes on. The second we enter a new version, the power budget that characters can get in their kits on another tier. Just instantly assume on another tier. Don't have the same assumptions that you think is the limit of a character's kit strength from the last version. It never applies, right? Like, for example, Tribby. Tribby's base buffs is 24% res pen and 50% vulnerability, right? Nova Welt is as good, if not a better buffer than an E0 Tribby at E0, right? Like, this is a fucking Nova standard character from V4 is a better amper than Tribby. So very clearly, the new version limited characters are going to have fucking crazy buffing, which is what happened. You have Blade, 50% damage bonus, 50% vulnerability. His vulnerability debuff alone is almost as strong as all of Tribby's debuffs. But then he also has the 30% defense shred. He has more damage bonus if paired with another Nihility. And then you have Robin, right? The 40% defense shred, damage bonus, attacker crit damage buffing, vulnerability, action advance. Yeah. Robin SB can replace Rin in the Archer team? Yeah. But it's like, it's okay. There was no way people could have predicted this shit, you know? It's fine. It's not that big of a deal. The thing is, Robin SP is wanted by so many other teams that isn't Archers that you can see it in kind of a different light of, I got Rin for Archer, and this now means in the future, or even soon, I can pull Robin SB and put her on a different team that needs her more. You know? Because we do live in a day and age now in HSR where all endgame is 3-team at this point. It used to only be AA. But now with Star Wars, every single endgame mode has 3-team endgame content. So, there's going to be a lot of characters that you want to have freed up. Can I ask a question? If Sunday Nova is supposed to be best in slot in Gil Saber, is Robin SP not going to be in it? Okay. Anjana, I'm assuming you saw my video where I was hyping up Sunday Nova and the possibility of his Nova strength and making him best in slot in a Saber team. Right? I'm assuming you saw that video. Unfortunately, as I've talked about a bit earlier, Robin SP is exactly what I thought Sunday Nova was going to be. So, as sad as I am to say this, even though Sunday Nova could still be great and could still be amazing, for the Saber team, I don't think Sunday Nova is going to kick out Robin SP. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Robin SP is 100% going to be better than Sunday Nova in that Saber Goga comp. And that's just kind of how it is. Like, a lot of the hopes that I put into Sunday Nova is literally just Robin SP's kit. You know? What do I even do at this point, man? I was right, but I was wrong. They created a character with the kit that I thought would be best in slot for Himiko and Saber. But it wasn't Sunday. I think, once again, the end goal with Sunday Nova is to make him and Robin an incredibly good generalist duo at buffing. And especially for Himiko, it would be the most potent. So her best verdict team would be Robin SP plus Sunday Nova. Like, other teams could take advantage of this duo as well, but I don't think Sunday is going to be this super strong defense shred amping team-wide buffer anymore. I think Robin already took that. Make Sunday Nova Erudition so Herda can have synergy. Yeah. Yeah, listen to him. If there's a Hoyo dev watching this, listen to him. E2 Robin SP is absurd? Oh, definitely. It's a bit sad that Phenon can't take advantage of Robin SP's E2 in a Cyrene team. It frustrates me a bit. What does E2 do for Robin? She records 18% of the total team's damage, if I remember correctly. And then her birds will dish out the damage that it recorded through true damage when it takes a turn. But what makes it stronger than usual is instead of fully clearing all the damage that you stacked up when they attack, they only clear half, right? So it's actually more than an 18% overall true damage buff. It's closer to, I think, like 30% or something like that. Like late 20s, 30% in terms of total team damage increase, since it only clears half of the value and not all. Like, Cypher, it works similar to Cypher and her ult, but Cypher, when she uses her ult, she clears everything, right? Like, it's all gone when she uses her ult. She doesn't save half of the tally damage, but that's what E2 Robin does. That's why they say she stole Cypher's kit in E2? Yeah. Isn't 30% super broken? Combined with the fact that her E1 is also a pretty strong buff to her buffing, yes. It is... Okay, it's not the first case technically, because Mblade both also has an E1 and E2 that are pretty big jumps in his best in slot teams and buffing. But outside of Mblade, Robin's is more generalist than Mblade's E2 in my opinion, and more generally usable than Mblade's E2. Like if we're talking outside of their niche, you'd get more value of Robin's E2 probably than Mblade's. Calc-wise, it's 20%. I'm pretty confident it should be more than 20%. Unless I'm misremembering the E2. Deals true damage equal to 11% of the total recorded damage plus current vibes points. Oh, it is reliant on having a high amount of vibes, I guess, but like 50. Okay, so if you're at max vibes for an E2 Robin, this records, 18% true damage. And then when the things hit, you'll only get half of the true damage recorded cleared. So you technically, you deal 18% true damage total that's been recorded. You deal that damage, but then you save 9% of the true damage still, right? And then you're able to stack up again the damage. So at E2, I guess it just depends on how good of a team you're using for vibe stacks. If it's garbage and vibe stack maintenance sucks, then the E2 would be a little less worth. But the better your team is at vibe stacking to 70, the stronger this is. And it's more like mid-20s buff, I think. Like 25%, 24%. Is Robin SP E1 or S1 better? E1. The S1 is useful in niche scenarios and for certain mono rem characters like Hyacine and Cyrene. But the E1 and E2 are almost always going to be better anyways. Isn't speed important for more vibes? 20% speed buff is not what you guys think it is. Like, that buff is not on... That buff wouldn't even be enough to grant you an extra turn within 150 AV. It wouldn't be enough. So it's only worth it with speed scalers like Hyacine and Cyrene, who get something else out of just the speed increase. Yeah, like, you should not use pulls on Robin's Lycone, in my opinion. It's just not worth it, especially with her earlier Eidolons being quite more valuable. Oh yeah, what's Robin's E6 again? I wanted to recheck it. Increase all ally res pen by 20%. Robin's ultimate can be stored up to 2 times. When entering the fever state for the first time, or at the start of a fever countdown turn in this battle, immediately regenerates 140 energy. Yeah. That E6 is strong, man. That's such a strong support E6. Insane energy gain. Way more ability to action advance. I feel like her E6 might get nerfed. I will say that. I don't think her base kit's getting nerfed, and I think her earlier Eidolons are fine. But I think her E6 might get changed. Because this is just... I feel like this is a little too strong with how many action advances extra you could get off with it. Probably. I saw that she's better than E2 Cyrene for cast, but I don't know how true that is. It's probably true. It is probably true. Because I believe Everknight's S1 gives the team 20% defense shred when Memo Sprites deal damage, and Cassie's S1 also gives her defense shred. So Robin being a mainly defense shred buffer is really synergistic with the team. Her Lycone speed buff is actually worth it in this team to an extent because you're now increasing Hyacine's healing a lot more. And then her E1 and E2 are just as synergistic with the rest of the team as well. So yeah, it's probably true. I'm asking if I don't have Cyrene's Lycone, can I hit 200 speed with Robin's Lycone? Yeah. Technically. Robin's Lycone is a bigger speed buff than Cyrene's. Cyrene's is like 18%. Robin's is 20%. Wait. Actually, is there a restriction on her Lycone that only makes it usable by her? That might actually be... Okay, where's her Lycone? Lycones. Remembrance. After the wearer uses their ultimate, recover 1 skill point for allies. When entering combat, advances the wearer's action by 40% and grants the wearer new melody for 2 turns. While the wearer has new melody, all ally speed increases by 20%. This expires with Cyrene, so no. I wouldn't use this on Cyrene. After Cyrene takes 2 turns, the speed buff will disappear. The only thing you'll be able to benefit from is the start of battle action advance and the SP gen every time she ultimates. But the last thing Mono Rem needs is skill points anyways. Yeah, it's infinite with Robin, but not with Cyrene. Wait, did my character just die? I didn't even realize. ZZZ patches out? I know. I already claimed my free selector a while back. So I'm just going to get E0 Robin? Okay. I think they're saying if you put Robin and Cyrene together and put this light cone on Robin. I don't think that's what they're saying. He said, I'm just asking if I don't have Cyrene's light cone, can I hit 200 speed on Cyrene with Robin's light cone? Is what he said. I think I got it right. Yeah, you got it right? Alright. Thanks for clarifying. I should be expecting running around the streets in ZZZ with Sana, not Yohu riding a bike? Wait, what's with the Yohu slander? The reason I didn't go on ZZZ for the stream is because if I do, I'm going to have people in my chat bothering me to be like, oh, try the end game. I hate trying end game when I suck at a video game. That's what happened the last time I streamed ZZZ, and I was just trying to like walk around. People were like, show us your end game. Show us your end game clears. It was terrible. That was so trash. Pulling Cyrene in last patch was a mistake. The thing is, right, I don't necessarily think so. In the short term, yeah. But I do believe eventually, when the Amphorius characters start getting Nova Flares in probably version 5, Cyrene will likely then become stronger than Robin SP again for all the Chrysosairs. And so it's like, it just depends on the way you see it, right? Cyrene is good enough to likely get you by, especially with the Mono Rem team, until she gets a Nova, and then she's better than Robin SP for like a year at that point when she gets a Nova, until Robin SP also gets a Nova. So that's kind of how it goes in this game now. Bye, see you some other stream. See ya. Did they do a co-op racing event in WUA? I think like a few patches ago. I didn't play it though. Is it night for you? Yeah. A Nova for a meta character will come in 10 years? No. That's not really how it works. They don't Nova characters off of how meta or not they are. They just Nova characters based off of their popularity and how much money they can still make off of them. Like, for example, Firefly, after she got Dahlia, pre-Nova, was like a top 4, top 5 DPS in the game. And they still decided to Nova Firefly after her getting Dahlia 3 patches earlier. Because they knew they could make more money because of her popularity. So, the Amphorius characters, like Phanon, for example, Phanon is still technically meta because he keeps getting indirectly buffed every single fucking patch. And his E2 is incredibly strong, but Phanon is still on the top of the list of the most likely Ampho characters to get a buff. Like he's definitely at the top because of his base kit E0 issues. In my opinion, I think you can expect every single main push in this game to get buffed. Like everyone. Acheron's already been leaked to get a buff by Anon and other leakers sometime in this version. Firefly got hers. Fei Xiao's probably going to get hers in version 5. They're just not doing it right now because they want to sell the new Fua team. Like, Cassie, Phanon, and Cyrene will probably all get Novas in the next version as well. Just because they're main pushes. They're popular. They make the game more money. And then the same thing goes for this version, right? I think if you invest into any main push, you're like good for a long ass time. Because they will get Nova'd, or their teammates will get Nova'd. Or my Fei Xiao buff? Well, similar to a Firefly Dahlia situation, the thing they expect you to do with Fei Xiao is you run her with Ashvale Emblade temporarily. And then they end up Novaing her eventually. But Ashvale and Emblade are there to get you by. Fei Xiao is fine though. Yeah, and so is Acheron currently. That doesn't stop them from buffing Acheron according to the leakers this version. Like, once again, you guys need to get it out of your head. It's not about, oh, this character's already good. They're not going to get up. Like, that's not how it works. Okay? That's not how it works. They're getting buffed. It doesn't matter if they're still doing good. They're still going to get buffed. The same way Firefly did. Main push treatment, yeah. I remember alongside the Acheron buff, the other two who are getting buffed alongside Acheron are Dill and Jing Yuan as well, who are some of the most popular DPSs from 1.x. So Seal got Nova'd, Blade and Jing Liu got Nova'd, Dill and Jing Yuan are soon going to get buffs alongside Acheron. I'm not saying she won't get a Nova, I'm saying she doesn't need it. Oh yeah, she doesn't need it because she can currently use Ash Emblade. Yeah. But she's going to get it anyways. And probably early version 5. To be honest, I'd love to see Fei Xiao get added to like one of those limited selectors, like the one released in 4.0, because she actually has a pretty good E2 jump. Yo, Gabby, a new leak saying HSR adding a new element in 5.0? Yeah, that's bait. I'm not falling for that. They said water element? Oh yeah, it's definitely bait. They could have introduced water element fucking ages ago with Dill. Or even recently with Heislands. Only introducing it now would actually be the dumbest shit ever. Why is it bait? because it's unlikely. Hello? It's just that simple. We've never had a new element in HSR ever. I'm gonna automatically assume it's bait, obviously. Or like some unreliable rumors. Like, is this actually a verified leak, or is this just unreliable rumors are an unreliable leaker? New elements do nothing? Yeah, that's the thing with HSR. In HSR, elements are almost as useless as they get. Like, you have so many res pen sources. You can just brute force in this game so easily, even against off element stuff. Oh, I go from a 0 cycle to a 1 cycle. How unfortunate. You know? Like in Wuwa, fighting enemies of your own element in Wuwa is fucking torture. Alright? My S6 Cartethia feels like an S0 Cartethia against Aero Res mobs. But in HSR, that shit is easily brute forceable. What are your thoughts on Yao Guang being replaced by SP Robin? I'm not a beaver, and that's not a thing. We have enemies that have high res towards elements in HSR. Yeah, but isn't that only APOC bosses and like Sparksy's minions? Or like one of those elation mobs? Like, those are side mobs. And even those I find to be pretty easy to brute force. I think Cocolia has ice res. HSR Nanoka. Enemy creatures. Cocolia. Yeah, she has 60% ice res. But like, if I remember correctly, I remember seeing an Evernight just shit on Cocolia a couple patches ago. I could be remembering wrong. Yeah, but do you know who the leaker is, Dow? Like, is this a reliable leaker, or... I don't know, someone just posted on Telegram. Okay, so it's a bunch of bullshit. Evernight's the GOAT. She is E2 doing wonders. Nah, that's just GOAT shit. Not even E2. Too good. I can still brute force 80% quantum res mobs with Archer. Yeah. Is Robin SPE2 must pull? No, nobody's a must pull. Just pull who you like. Those are the must pulls. Why can't that Astray or Ratio game release already? Oh, getting bored. I have to wait probably a year for Silver Palace. Maybe a year for that Astray game. Man, it's pretty sad. Oh shit, it's finally fully charged. Thank God. I need this game. Yeah. I just want something new, man. Something fresh. I feel like I've beaten HSR in terms of understanding it. So it's gotten a bit boring and a bit stale. I've finally been playing Wua and ZZZ because I got bored of HSR. Yeah. To be honest, like, it's not that I think HSR is going down some bad route or anything. I just think I'm burnt out, you know? I'm not one of those people who tries to be like, oh, this game has become so dog shit. I genuinely think it's just burnout. Especially because I'm a content creator, I just interact with this game way too much than is healthy. So I get burnt out faster. Playing the same game for years does get stale, yeah. What do you think is the next good investment after E2 Himiko SP? Probably Robin SP currently, I believe. Yeah, Solus. It's like the same thing with Wua. Like, I'll take a long break from Wua, I'll come back, it feels great to play again. But if I were to start making content on Wua consistently for a couple months, I'd end up getting burnt out. With the content creation, looking at leaks, covering leaks, understanding character kits, calcs, checking beta, playing the game, event story, videos, like... It rapidly makes me burnt out faster. Everywhere I go, I just see people saying nerf Robin SP. Why? What's the point of nerfing Robin SP? We finally got a mainly defense shred amper, who gets even more defense shred amp on the E1. I've been waiting for this for so long. I don't want her to get nerfed. And the best part is she's a generalist. Robin SP is like the best character possible for me. In terms of like how much I like their kit design. I think people are depressed that they pulled Emblade. Who cares? There's 3 teams that you can use for endgame content in this game. Have Emblade on one, have Robin on the other. Bam. Except when it's about Saridra. Yeah, but you're just biased for Saridra. Because you find her hot. Which is understandable, but... Yes. Just straight up. Yes. I play other games so it doesn't bug me. I don't play other games. Well, technically I did currently with Silver Palace. But the problem is, I love Silver Palace. I really want to play Silver Palace. It's in fucking beta. So I have to wait until it officially releases. If Silver Palace were officially releasing currently, like, I promise you, I would probably only be making Silver Palace content right now. I'd be going through like a Silver Palace phase. But it's still in goddamn beta. It's so annoying. I am an honest man, I can tell. Well, yeah, a majority of the posts Doom posting, like it's majority just Doom posting Silver Palace's gacha. I did see something the other day of I think it was Captain Cabinets. She actually went out of her way to do calculations between I think HSR, ZZZ, Wuwa, and Silver Palace to see which one gave you the 5-star you wanted the fastest. And Silver Palace was second place at 100 pity for getting your guarantee in comparison to the other games. And then first place was NTE. I didn't know NTE's pull economy was actually that good. But NTE was at like a very high percentage chance and higher over everyone else. But Silver Palace was second. I mean, yeah, it does feel like the gacha community is like heavily filled with Doom posters. Why do people hate on the gacha? Because what? Okay, the logic with the gacha for Silver Palace Doom posting is people are worried if you get two earlies, right? So if your first early doesn't win the character, then they like it if in the situation they get a second early before they hit the hard pity for the character. Like, they would prefer it if that were always the character that's on banner. But in Silver Palace, that's not how it works. You're only guaranteed the character at specifically 100 pity, and theoretically, if you were lucky / unlucky enough, you could lose like 50 25 75s on the character banner and never get Cinderella, for example, right? Who is the first limited character releasing in that game. But the thing is, this is a situation you'd only run into if you're in the top 0.0001% of lucky gacha players, where you get two earlies in a row before hard pity, right? So when you actually look at things in a grand scale, on average, Silver Palace beats the Hoyo gachas. But people don't like seeing it that way. Well, yeah, Haru, but that's just how it goes. Like, people are mad that if they were to hypothetically get in this top 0.001% pull situation and it doesn't work out, then they're going to quit the game over that, which is kind of dumb, in my opinion. For those wondering what the full gacha system is, the character banner is a 25/75, but the limited character is guaranteed at 100 pulls every single time. And, unlike Enfield, there is pity carryover, right? You can take your guarantee into the next character banner. And then the weapon banner is a 50-50 guaranteed at 80 pity. So that's the gacha system of Silver Palace. Now, what I've been saying for quite a while now, how good it is depends on the pull income. If the pull income is shit, then yeah, obviously the system is going to be shit too. But with enough pull income, it's a good system. I already did one of the surveys for the game, and I just told them bluntly, you could probably get away with 70 to 75 pulls per patch, and that would be satisfactory for the general player base, right? They could do 60. It could be a shit pull count, and they'd still get away with it. But I was like, if you want the players to at least be semi-satisfied, I'd recommend doing 75 pulls per patch on average, right? Because this is technically 1.5 characters every 2 patches, which is decently standard in the gacha space these days. But that's just for, let's not rage. But I told them what I recommend is for them to do 85 to 90. I think 85 to 90 would be the pull count that they give per patch on average that makes the player base happy, right? Not just, oh, okay, this is good enough. It's not that good. It's not that great, but it's good enough. I'm going to play the game. 80 to 90 pulls per patch is the sweet spot. Because at that point, with, let's say, a monthly pass, you can guarantee a limited character every patch, right? With just a monthly pass, $5, which is insanely, that's really, really good for these gacha games. Like, if I buy a monthly pass in HSR with its average pull count of 105, I would be able to get like 120 something pulls, which is still 30 something off or 40 something off of a guaranteed character. And in WUA, which comes the closest over the other Hoyo games because they have less of a hard pity, so it's 160. WUA's average pulls per patch is like 115 or something. You add monthly pass, it's probably a little over 130. You're still not guaranteed a character per patch. But in Silver Palace, if you give 85 to 90 with a monthly pass, you're able to get more than a character per patch slightly, which would be quite impressive. Sometimes forget Hoyo games have 90 pity, yeah. The only thing that puts HSR ahead for me in WUA is the free characters. If it weren't for HSR's free characters, like before HSR was giving free characters, I had WUA as my most free-to-play friendly gacha. And before WUA got all its endgame changes, I had WUA as my number one. Yeah, I get that, Yumi. Genshin 60 pulls per month? Yeah. Waveman made a how free-to-play friendly HSR is vid. Surprisingly, it was pretty friendly. Yeah. It's mainly because of the free characters, in my opinion, though. Like, once again. The free character additions that they introduced with Cassie's patch and so on was so huge for helping people in this game. Because Archer is a low-cost demon, right? And now that there's an actual good sustain in the golden token shop, Robin's also in the golden token shop. Like, you can get a free sustain who's actually really good. You can get Ruan Mei or Robin who's also decently good. Topaz is getting a Nova in the next batch supposedly, and she's also in the golden token shop. Archer's team is almost entirely free. Sparkle Nova, yada yada yada. Like, Welt Nova. They've been doing a lot that has helped out the player base. Alright, chat. I am going to end the stream here. To be honest, I would have streamed even longer. But I just struggle with streams, man. My throat starts dying. It hurts so badly to talk now. I don't know if you guys noticed, but my voice started becoming kind of raspy a bit ago. Hope you all have a great day. Hope you all have a great night. Peace out.